Hello and welcome to Stories for Sleepless Nights. I am Luna, your guide through tales designed to help you relax and gently drift into sleep. Here, we explore captivating stories from history, mythology, nature, biographies, and philosophy. If there is a story you would like to hear, please share your ideas in the comments. You can also follow us on Spotify and YouTube to make sure you do not miss any future episodes. Tonight, we begin a journey into the heart of Buddhism. This is a profound philosophy and a way of life that has guided millions of people for over 2,000 years. We will look at the life of its founder, its core principles, and its lasting impact on the world. Before we begin our story, let us take a moment to settle in. Find a comfortable position, whether you are lying down or sitting up. Take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for a moment, and then slowly let it out through your mouth. Feel your body soften as you breathe out. Take another deep breath, feeling your chest rise and fall. As you let it go, imagine any tightness or tension melting away. One more deep breath. Let it fill you with peace, and as you release it, let go of any thoughts or worries from your day. If you are comfortable, you can gently close your eyes. Just listen to the story and let the words carry you. Our journey into Buddhism begins with the story of its founder, Siddhartha Gautama. He was born in a beautiful garden called Lumbini, which is now part of modern-day Nepal. This happened around the 6th century before the Common Era. Siddhartha belonged to a royal family, the Shakya clan. His father was King Suddhodana. Before Siddhartha was born, wise men made prophecies about him. They said the prince would either become a very powerful king, ruling over many lands, or a great spiritual leader who would show the world a new path. King Suddhodana wanted his son to be a mighty ruler. So, he decided to shield Siddhartha from all the sorrows and difficulties of life. The prince grew up inside the palace walls, surrounded by beauty and luxury. He had every comfort imaginable. He knew nothing of sickness, old age, or death. The king made sure that only young, healthy, and happy people were around Siddhartha. He lived a joyful life, married a beautiful princess named Yasodhara, and later had a son named Rahula. But as Siddhartha grew older, his curiosity grew too. He longed to see the world beyond his palace gates. One day, He convinced his charioteer to take him on rides outside the palace. During these trips, he saw what are known as the four sights. First, he saw an old man. His body was frail, his back was bent, and he walked with great difficulty. Siddhartha had never seen such a sight, and realized that old age comes to everyone. Next, he saw a sick man, weak and groaning in pain. This showed him the reality of illness. Then he saw a dead body being carried away, and he understood that death is the end for all living beings. These three sights deeply troubled him. They showed him that suffering, old age, sickness, and death are unavoidable parts of life. Finally, he saw an ascetic, a holy man who had given up all worldly possessions. This man wore simple clothes and had a calm, peaceful look on his face, even though he owned nothing. The ascetic seemed to have found a way to live free from the worries that plagued others. This encounter deeply moved Siddhartha. It gave him hope that there might be a way to overcome suffering. At the age of 29, Siddhartha made a life-changing decision. He left his comfortable palace, his beloved wife, and his newborn son. This act is called the Great Renunciation. He rode away in the middle of the night, cutting off his long hair and trading his princely robes for simple clothes. He chose to become a wandering seeker, determined to find the truth about suffering and how to end it. This was an immense sacrifice, but his desire to understand existence was stronger than anything else. For a time, Siddhartha joined other spiritual seekers. He practiced extreme asceticism, believing that by punishing the body, the mind could become free. He lived on very little food, sometimes only a single grain of rice or a few nuts a day. He slept on beds of thorns and endured harsh weather. His body became terribly thin, almost like a skeleton, and he grew very weak. He spent 6 years following these difficult practices. But even after all this deprivation, he realized that this extreme path did not lead to the understanding he sought. It only brought him closer to death, not to enlightenment. He saw that weakening the body also weakened the mind, making it harder to focus and find wisdom. He understood that a different path was needed. Siddhartha realized that weakening his body did not bring him closer to the truth. He understood that neither extreme luxury nor extreme self-denial was the answer. A different approach was needed, he decided to leave the path of severe fasting. A young woman named Sujata offered him a bowl of rice cooked in milk. He accepted it, ate, and felt his strength slowly return. This moment marked his discovery of what he called the middle way. This path avoids the extremes of indulgence and hardship, aiming for balance and moderation. With his body renewed and his mind clear, Siddhartha walked until he found a peaceful spot. It was under a large fig tree in a place called Bodh Gaya. He sat down, crossing his legs, and made a firm vow. He would not move from that spot, he decided, until he had found complete understanding and freedom from suffering. He would stay there, no matter what, until he reached enlightenment. As Siddhartha sat in deep meditation, a powerful figure named Mara appeared. Mara is often seen as a demon who represents desire, fear, and death. He did not want Siddhartha to achieve awakening. Mara tried many ways to distract him and make him give up. First, Mara sent his beautiful daughters to tempt Siddhartha with worldly pleasures. They danced and tried to charm him, but Siddhartha remained unmoved. His focus on truth was too strong. When temptation failed, Mara tried fear. He gathered a vast army of terrifying demons. They roared, threw spears, and shot arrows of fire at Siddhartha. But as these weapons flew towards him, they changed into soft flowers and fell harmlessly to the ground. Siddhartha remained calm and still, his mind filled with compassion, not fear. Finally, Mara tried to create doubt. He challenged Siddhartha, asking what right he had to sit there and claim such a profound understanding. In response, Siddhartha simply reached out his right hand and touched the earth. This gesture, known as the earth-touching mudra, called the earth itself to witness his long journey and countless good deeds over many lifetimes. Mara, defeated, vanished. With Mara gone, Siddhartha entered an even deeper state of meditation. As the night passed, his mind moved through different stages of understanding. He saw all his past lives, remembering who he had been before. He understood the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, called samsara, and how all beings are caught in it. He saw how actions, good and bad, lead to future consequences. Finally, as the morning star rose in the sky, Siddhartha achieved complete awakening. This state is called nirvana, a perfect freedom from all suffering and attachment. At that moment, he was no longer just Siddhartha Gautama. He became the Buddha, which means the awakened one. For several weeks after his enlightenment, the Buddha remained in the area around the Bodhi tree. He thought about the profound truths he had discovered. At first, he hesitated to teach them to others. He felt his insights were too deep and difficult for ordinary people who were so caught up in their desires and worries. He believed they might not understand the path to liberation. But then, a powerful deity named Brahma Sahampati appeared before him. Brahma urged the Buddha to share his wisdom. He explained that there were many beings whose eyes were only a little dusty, meaning they were ready to hear and understand the teachings. He said that without the Buddha's guidance, these beings would be lost. Hearing Brahma's plea, the Buddha looked out at the world with compassion. He saw that some people would indeed be able to grasp the truth. So, he agreed to teach. The Buddha then traveled about 100 miles to a deer park in Sarnath, near the city of Varanasi. There, he found his 5 former ascetic companions, the ones who had left him when he gave up extreme fasting. At first, they were unsure about him, but they soon recognized the profound change in his presence. There, the Buddha delivered his very first sermon. It is known as setting the wheel of Dharma in motion. In this sermon, he introduced the core of his teachings, the 4 Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. This was the beginning of the Buddhist community and the spread of his profound wisdom. The Buddha's first sermon in Sarnath laid out the very heart of his teachings. He presented a clear framework for understanding suffering and finding freedom from it. This framework is known as the 4 Noble Truths. They are not just ideas to believe in, but truths to be understood and lived. The first noble truth is about dukkha, which means suffering. The Buddha taught that life, in its very nature, involves suffering. This is not just physical pain or emotional sadness. It also includes dissatisfaction, stress, and the feeling that things are never quite right. It means that even pleasant experiences bring a subtle form of suffering because they are impermanent and will eventually change or end. Everything we hold dear, everything that makes us happy, will pass away. This constant change causes a feeling of unease. The second noble truth is about samudaya, the origin of suffering. the Buddha explained that suffering arises from craving or attachment. This craving, called tanha, is a strong desire for things to be a certain way. We crave pleasant experiences. We crave things we do not have, and we crave for things we dislike to go away. We also crave for things to continue or for things to stop existing. This constant wanting and clinging to things, people, and ideas is the root cause of our unhappiness. The third noble truth is about nirodha, the cessation of suffering. This is the good news. The Buddha taught that suffering can be ended. When craving and attachment are fully extinguished, suffering stops. This complete liberation from suffering is called nirvana. It is not an empty state, but a profound peace and freedom that comes from letting go of all wanting. The fourth noble truth is about Magga, the path to the cessation of suffering. The Buddha did not just describe the problem and the solution. He also provided a practical guide to reach that solution. This guide is the Noble Eightfold Path. It is the way to end craving and achieve nirvana. The Noble Eightfold Path is a holistic guide for living. It focuses on three main areas: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. The path begins with wisdom. This includes right understanding, which means seeing things as they truly are, understanding the Four Noble Truths. It also includes right thought, which means having pure intentions, free from ill will, desire, and cruelty. Next comes ethical conduct. This involves right speech, which means speaking truthfully, kindly, and helpfully, avoiding harsh words, gossip, or lies. It also includes right action, meaning to act in ways that do not harm oneself or others. This involves not killing, stealing, or engaging in harmful sexual behavior. Lastly, it includes right livelihood, which means earning a living in a way that does not cause harm to others or to the environment. The final part of the path is mental discipline. This includes right effort, which is about working to develop positive states of mind and to let go of negative ones. It is a continuous effort to improve oneself. Then there is right mindfulness, which means being fully present and aware of the body, feelings, mind, and all phenomena without judgment. Lastly, right concentration involves deep meditation, focusing the mind to achieve higher states of awareness and insight. beyond these truths and the path, the Buddha also taught two other core ideas: anicca, which means impermanence, and anatta, which means no self. Anicca teaches that everything in the world is constantly changing. Nothing stays the same for even a moment. A tiny seed becomes a plant, then a flower, which blooms and then fades. A thought comes into your mind and then passes away. This understanding helps people to let go of clinging to things, knowing that they will always change. Anatta, the teaching of no self, challenges the idea that there is a permanent, unchanging self or soul inside us. The Buddha explained it with an analogy. Imagine a chariot. A chariot is made of wheels, an axle, a body, and a pole. If you take away all these parts, is there still a chariot? No. The word chariot is just a name we give to this collection of parts working together. In the same way, a person is a collection of physical form, feelings, perceptions, mental patterns, and consciousness. There is no separate, unchanging self that exists apart from these parts. This idea helps people to release attachment to a fixed idea of me or mine, leading to greater freedom. With the core teachings established, the Buddha's message began to spread. A key part of this spread was the formation of the Sangha, the monastic community. This community of monks and nuns became a vital pillar of early Buddhism. They dedicated their lives to living by the Buddha's teachings, meditating, and sharing the Dharma with others. They preserved the wisdom and passed it down through generations. Among the Buddha's earliest and most important disciples were Sariputta and Moggallana. These two men became his chief disciples, known for their great wisdom and spiritual powers. They helped organize the Sangha and played a huge part in spreading the teachings during the Buddha's lifetime. The Buddha himself continued to teach for 45 years after his enlightenment. He traveled across northern India, sharing his insights with people from all walks of life. He guided his followers, answered their questions, and established the rules for the monastic community. Finally, at the age of 80, the Buddha passed away in a town called Kushinagar. This event is known as his parinirvana, which means his complete passing into nirvana, free from the cycle of rebirth. In the beginning, Buddhism spread throughout ancient India. It attracted followers from all social classes, from kings and merchants to ordinary farmers and laborers. This was a significant aspect of its appeal, as it challenged the rigid caste system that was common at the time. The Buddha taught that enlightenment was available to everyone, regardless of their birth or social standing. However, one of the most pivotal moments in the early spread of Buddhism came about 200 years after the Buddha's passing, with Emperor Ashoka the Great. Ashoka ruled a vast empire across India in the 3rd century BCE. He was initially a fierce conqueror, known for his military might. After a particularly brutal war, the Kalinga War, where hundreds of thousands of people were killed, Ashoka witnessed immense suffering and felt deep remorse. This experience led him to convert to Buddhism. His conversion marked a dramatic change in his rule. From a conqueror, he became a patron of peace and Dharma, which refers to the Buddha's teachings. Ashoka stopped expanding his empire through warfare. Instead, he worked to spread the message of peace, compassion, and nonviolence. He carved edicts, which were official announcements, onto rocks and pillars throughout his empire. These edicts encouraged his people to live ethically and follow Buddhist principles. Ashoka also built thousands of stupas, which are dome-shaped structures, to house relics of the Buddha and important Buddhist texts. More importantly, he sent missionaries to other lands. His own son, Mahinda, and daughter, Sanghamita, became monks and nuns and traveled to Sri Lanka, where they successfully established Buddhism. Ashoka's efforts also led to the spread of Buddhism to Southeast Asia and other regions, laying the groundwork for it to become a world religion. His transformation from a powerful warrior to a compassionate leader remains a remarkable story in history. As Buddhism spread beyond India, carried by missionaries and traders, it began to encounter new cultures and ways of thinking. Over many centuries, this interaction led to the development of different schools and traditions. While all these branches held onto the core principles taught by the Buddha, they adapted their practices and interpretations to fit the local people and their customs. One of the oldest surviving branches is called Theravada Buddhism, which means the doctrine of the elders. This tradition is strong in countries like Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. Theravada focuses on individual enlightenment, aiming for a state called arhatship. An arhat is a person who has achieved their own nirvana, freeing themselves from suffering. This path often involves strict monastic practice, where monks and nuns live a disciplined life, meditating and studying the ancient texts. They closely follow the Pali Canon, which is a collection of the Buddha's teachings preserved in the Pali language. Then there is Mahayana Buddhism, which means the great vehicle. This is the largest branch of Buddhism today, found in countries like China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and Tibet. A central idea in Mahayana is the bodhisattva ideal. A bodhisattva is someone who is already enlightened, but chooses to delay their own complete nirvana. They do this to stay in the world and help all other beings find enlightenment. This tradition emphasizes compassion and the idea that liberation is available to everyone. Mahayana Buddhism has a vast collection of sacred texts called sutras and many diverse practices, including different forms of meditation and devotional rituals. A sub-school often grouped under Mahayana is Vajrayana Buddhism, also known as the Diamond Vehicle. It is most well known in Tibet and Mongolia. Vajrayana places a special emphasis on tantric practices, which are specific rituals, meditations, and mantras designed to help practitioners achieve enlightenment more quickly. The guidance of lamas, who are highly respected spiritual teachers, is very important in this tradition. The Dalai Lama, a global spiritual leader, is the head of Tibetan Buddhism, which is a form of Vajrayana. Despite these differences in practice and emphasis, all these Buddhist traditions share the foundational teachings of the Buddha. They all believe in the Four Noble Truths, which explain the nature of suffering and its end. They all follow the Noble Eightfold Path as the way to liberation, and they all understand the principles of karma, which states that our actions have consequences, and rebirth, the idea that consciousness continues from one life to the next. These core ideas unite the diverse expressions of Buddhism across the world. Buddhism, which started in India, saw a decline in its birthplace after the Muslim invasions many centuries ago. For a long time, it was not as widespread in India as it once was. However, in the modern era, Buddhism has seen a strong return, not just in India, but around the entire world. The 20th century marked a new chapter for Buddhism as it began to spread beyond Asian countries, reaching Western nations. This happened for several reasons. Many people immigrated from Buddhist countries, bringing their traditions with them. Also, events like the Tibetan diaspora, where many Tibetans, including their spiritual leader, had to leave their homeland, brought Buddhist practices and philosophies to the attention of the world. Many Westerners found its teachings on peace and wisdom very appealing. One of the most notable ways Buddhism has entered modern life is through the mindfulness movement. Buddhist meditation practices, such as Vipassana and Samatha, which focus on observing thoughts and breath, have been taken out of their religious context. They are now used in many parts of society. You can find them integrated into psychology, helping people manage emotions. They are used in healthcare to reduce stress and pain. Even in corporate wellness programs, these techniques help employees find mental clarity and reduce daily pressures. The appeal is in their practical benefits for well-being, separate from any religious beliefs. Prominent Buddhist figures have also played a large role in its global spread. The 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, stands out as a global spiritual leader. He travels the world speaking about peace, compassion, and understanding. He has become a symbol of these values, bringing Buddhist principles to international attention and showing how ancient wisdom can address modern problems. Today, Buddhism continues to adapt to new challenges. It engages with modern science, finding common ground in understanding the mind and reality. It inspires environmentalism with its emphasis on interconnectedness and respect for all life. It also supports social justice, advocating for fairness and peace. In a world that often feels fast-paced and complicated, Buddhism continues to offer a path to inner peace and ethical living, showing its lasting relevance. Now, as our journey through the story of Buddhism comes to a close, let us take a moment to gently bring our attention back to ourselves. We will do a simple body scan to help you relax even further. There is nothing you need to do, just listen and notice. Bring your awareness to your toes. Simply notice any sensations there without judgment. Feel the tips of your toes, the bottoms, and the tops. Now, slowly let your attention move up to your feet. Feel your heels, the arches, and the balls of your feet. Let your awareness flow into your ankles, then up into your calves. Notice any feelings in your lower legs. Gently bring your attention to your knees, then your thighs. Feel the weight of your legs resting. Move your awareness to your hips, then your abdomen. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your belly with each breath. Let your attention spread to your chest, feeling the quiet movement of your breath here too. Now, move your awareness down your arms, noticing your upper arms, elbows, forearms, and wrists. Feel your hands, your palms, your fingers. Then, slowly bring your attention back up your arms to your shoulders and into your neck. Finally, let your awareness rest at the top of your head. Feel the gentle weight and relaxation settling in each part of your body. Release any remaining tension you might be holding, allowing a deep sense of calm to wash over you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Stories for Sleepless Nights. I hope it helped you find some rest and gently moved you away from your daily thoughts. You can find Stories for Sleepless Nights on Spotify and YouTube. Please feel free to leave a comment with any topics you would like to hear about in future episodes. I am Luna, and I hope to join you again soon for another journey into fascinating tales. Until then, I wish you a peaceful and restorative good night. I apologize, but based on the table of contents provided, there is no Chapter 9. The story concludes with Chapter 8, which is the outro and sign-off. Please let me know if you would like me to revise an existing chapter, or if there was a misunderstanding in the chapter count.